Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down our next matchup for UFC Fight Night Seattle, Washington. In this matchup, we have Navajo Stirling taking on Bruno Lopes. This one feels pretty straightforward to break down. You have a very clean, technical striker in Navajo Stirling. Interesting prospect for light heavyweight, undefeated, taking on a more grind heavy, clinch oriented fighter in Bruno Lopes, who's looking to bounce back from a loss and keep him and sort of gain some relevancy in the UFC's light heavyweight division. Now, looking at our two fighters, starting with Bruno Lopes, he's currently 14-2 as a professional, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. In the UFC specifically, he's 1-1. Won his UFC debut against Magomed Ghaziasulov, where he just held him against the fence for 15 minutes. Then last May got knocked out by Dustin Jacoby in a fight where, granted, for Bruno Lopes, it seemed like kind of a big jump in competition from Jacoby to Ghaziasulov. Definitely, I thought a little weird jump, but is what it is. Lopes won his, like I said, won his debut, lost his sophomore effort. Now looking to, like I said, get back in the win column, and I would definitely say gain some much needed momentum, especially after getting knocked out viciously in the fight before that being a snoozer. Now, looking at Navajo Stirling, he's currently undefeated at 8-0, so that means he's 5-0 in his last 5 fights. In UFC specifically, he is 3-0. Sterling won his debut to Tuco, or Taco, beat Ivan Erslang, and then most recently, last September, defeated Rodolfo Bellato. So for Sterling, he is interesting prospect for light heavyweight. Another product out of City Kickboxing. Clean technical striking, good calf kicks, good use with the lead hand. And so far, even though he's not been a KO machine in his UFC run, he does have very solid striking, very much like Carlos Oldberg, his teammate. And who knows, maybe with the right matchups, we can see Sterling start knocking people out like he did on the regional scene and in his Contender Series fight. But with that said, let's get down to the breakdown. Starting with Navajo Stirling, undefeated out of City Kickboxing, and you can definitely see it in his style. For a light heavyweight, Sterling's very composed and technical on the feet, good shot selection, solid distance management, and a low error striking style, which basically means he doesn't make many mistakes and doesn't leave himself open too much. Not reckless, does not overextend, and that allows Stirling to stay in control during striking exchanges. Now, like I said, he hasn't shown many finishes or consistently finishing fights since his win on Contender Series. But, knocking people out isn't everything. Sterling, at the end of the day, he doesn't need wild swings to be effective. He wins through precision and accumulative damage. It's just granted, while light heavyweights in general, they have a lot of power, there's some who don't, and there's some that require good technique and good timing. And for what it's worth, some of these names are a bit harder to finish than they look, right? Tuco Sukos was able to survive via his grappling. Ivan Erslang's a bull in there. And Rodolfo Bellato, even though it seems like that's, you should be finishing him, let's be real here. Rodolfo Bellato's only lost once in the UFC. He's not a bad name per se. And defensively, Sterling's wrestling, takedown defense, it's definitely looked improved. He's getting better at staying upright, which is a key importance, not just in this matchup, but his career going forward, dealing with guys who are going to want to wrestle him. Now, looking at Bruno Lopes, a bit more of a grinder, at least from what we've seen in his 2 UFC fights, right? He does his best work so far in clinch exchanges, pressing against the fans, landing knees to the body. That is actually how he won his Contender Series fight. Just landing good punches to the body. On the feet, I would say Silva's boxing is fairly basic, but it gets the job done. But it's still not particularly dynamic or technical. His path to winning fights usually involves making things messy and just slowing down opponents in the clinch. So, stylistically, this fight really comes down to range. If Sterling keeps this at distance, it's his fight all day because he will be the cleaner striker, the more technical fighter. Excuse me. And the one who lands the better shots. Lopes is going to need to try and close distance, go for takedowns, just make it a grind. But here's the problem here. Sterling is just too composed, I think, to get caught in those kind of situations. His takedown defense has been improving much better. The takedown defense compared to Tuco's and Ivan Erslang are 2 different types of takedown defense, or I guess 2 different showings, and it shows Sterling is improving. And plus, those guys at City Kickboxing, you notice their takedown defense are a lot of the same. They hand fight very well. They're very good at using the cage to keep their balance. And so if Lopes wants to take Sterling to the ground, he's going to try to do it on the fence, but that's a terrible idea because that's where Sterling's takedown defense is the best at. So overall, while I could see Lopes, being a bit frustrating with that clinch and some of his striking, I just think based on what we've seen, Sterling's going to look the more complete and more controlled fighter. He should be able to manage distance and avoid prolonged grappling and just land the cleaner shots, I think, en route to a knockout. I'm going to pick Navajo Stirling, and I'm going to pick him via TKO. I think he's going to get his first finish in the UFC. The precision, the control, it's just going to add up, and I think he finds the finish maybe second or third round. Just a cumulative damage, or who knows? He could maybe win via first round, just catching Lopes clean on the chin. But at the end of the day, I'm picking Navajo Stirling. I'm going to pick him via knockout in this fight. But with that being said, that's been my breakdown of this matchup. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below on who you think's going to win. But until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. I thank you all for listening. And remember, stay calm, stay respectful, and enjoy the violence. I'll see y'all next time.